Okay, so if the audio is not good or something is there, you inform me, but otherwise I will proceed in this manner. Okay, so we will be defining the electric current in two ways. First, we will distinguish. There is a major difference between the first variety and second variety. Okay, so in the convection current, if you see, we will not be requiring conductors. So it takes place in a different style. So therefore, let me explain down here. For example, let me go down in the board so that we will have some more space here. So we don't require any of the conducting medium. Instead of that, we will say that the entire region is a vacuum. Okay. In this particular scenario, you can allow the electrons to pass through. Suppose if you have an electron gun, the electron gun, what it will do is it will generate the electron and then it will send the electrons with some speed. So what happens is you will be having electrons like this and it will be moving at a particular speed because you are using an electron gun to generate it and then it is going to emit the electrons. That's why it is moving. So like that, several of the electrons are there and then all of these are moving with some velocity. So in this case, what is the situation is you have a vacuum, you don't have a conductor. Then what is happening is whenever electron is moving, we have to use the word electric current. This type of current is known as convection current. So that is the first part. That is known as the convection current. Now we will be having a common definition for the current density. So that we will see. But before that, this part, let it be clear. So one option is you can have vacuum. Okay. It is not compulsory that you should have vacuum only. You can also have liquid. It is possible. You can have something like, something like sodium chloride solution or seawater. Seawater is already water with a little bit of salt. So that's a good example of a liquid in which certain species can travel. So this is one example. Another example is it could be a gas. If you are going to have a discharge bulb, gas discharge. So whenever you are going to have a particular region filled with gas, then inside the gas these electrons can travel. So these are the examples where the current is known as convection current. So that terminology will be clear that this is the convection. So this is the first definition. I mean, in the scenario, we will be using the word convection current. And coming to the definition, it is like this. How do you understand how much of electrons are moving in a region? That you have to quantify. Quantify means using some equation, we will have to represent it. So for that, what you do is you draw some kind of a surface. It need not be a circular one. So for example, in this case, I am trying to draw a circular face. Okay, so let me draw like this, for instance. So what happens is that these electrons are crossing. It is crossing like this. This is the electron. The round one, the dot I am keeping is an electron. It enters this region and then it comes out. Now this particular circular cross section, I will write down here. This is the circular cross section. CS means cross section. You know what is cross section, right? You take a cylinder and cut it in the center. Then you will be seeing a circular face. That is the cross section. Now this circular cross section, you take it for a size of say 1 meter square. Unity is important. It can be 1 centimeter square also, but the number should be 1. This is the first point. Second point is circle is not important. Instead of a circular cross section, you can also consider rectangular cross section. You can also consider square cross section. Anything is fine. But the area of the cross section should be 1 meter square, 1 centimeter square, 1 millimeter square. Anything is fine, but it should be 1. So this is how you first take, and then when you are going to keep a particular surface like this, is a geometric surface. Okay. So you are going to keep a geometric surface, then you see how many electrons are passing through. So you see that there are also electrons which are going to pass here. There are also electrons which are going to cross here. There are some additional arrows I am drawing which are outside the circle. They will not be counted. So that is the purpose of the unit area. This is what we call unit area. Okay, when this is passing like this, you now write down the number of charges crossing the unit area per unit time. Because it is continuously traveling, right? This electron will move out and next electron will come. That electron also will go and next electron will come. Therefore, if you don't tell per unit time, you also don't know how to count that. Okay, so you will have to wait for 1 second. Unit time means 1 second. Let us say it may be 1 millisecond also, but for the time being, if you are going to consider 1 second as the time, during that 1 second time, several electrons will cross. All that electrons you have to count. That is the meaning. So per unit area and per unit time, if you count that many number of charges, then we say that this will give you the current density. So let me write down a new word now. This is known as the current density. And because this is now connected with the convection phenomena, we have to attach one additional word known as convection. So convection current density. That is the name that we will be giving. And then the symbol for this particular object will be J. So J is the general symbol. It's a vector quantity. And this is a new thing. I think hopefully J is not introduced, and convection also most probably you might not have studied earlier. So therefore, J is a common symbol, not compulsorily for convection. It can be for some other thing also. So J is a general symbol. So let us write down that for the current density. But in particular, since the topic under consideration is convection, you have to understand that capital J represents convection current density. So that clarity should be there. If you don't tell any topic and simply write capital J, then you cannot tell whether it is convection density or conduction density. So in order to make sure that you will have to write under what, for what reason you are writing this, only then the meaning of J will be clear. So this is clear, and then from this what you understand is, if you are going to substitute how this looks like, so this has, how do you write, what are the dimensions of this? So now only Subhatra RK is permission, yes, okay, admit. Okay. I hope that, okay, the green board will not be disturbed. Okay. So J, capital J will be like this, number of charges crossing the unit area. So how do you write is, number of charges you write COUL, that means that many number of coulombs, write like this. Then crossing per unit time. So since there is a per unit time, you put a second here. And then per unit area is there. So per unit area means 1 divided by area. So I will write down meter square. So that gives you coulomb divided by meter square into second. So that will be the dimensions of the convection current density. Okay, so this is the first information. Now we will not be using more detailed calculation on convection, because there is a separate topic. Okay, the dynamics, you know, it goes into further and further divisions. The dynamics is known as convection dynamics, and if you are especially using only fluid, then it is known as fluid dynamics. If you are going to use only gas, then it is known as gas dynamics. Okay, and if you are going to use electricity magnetism together with the gas, then the dynamics is known as plasma dynamics. So what happens is that the specialization goes in this particular way, and therefore generally we don't use more detailed calculation on the convection current density for your course. Okay, for your PHOS 232 course, we will not be dealing too much about the convection current density, excepting for some simple problems. So I want to tell you where it is useful when you are going to move to a special chapter or specialization, such as the gas dynamics or plasma dynamics or electrically conducting fluid dynamics. Then the entire thing you will be studying is the convection current density at that time. For now, that means for your course, electricity magnetism, we will be solving simple problems for the convection current density. But otherwise, your major focus will be on the conduction. So conduction will be your major focus, and therefore let us now come back to the first place where we have written down. So what did we write down here? It is there. So we have convection and the conduction. These are the two types. So now we will come to this particular thing. This is the focus for you, or important. Okay, this topic is important. Of course, the definition is very important. You can't neglect that one. A few small questions can come, like 2 marks problem or 5 marks problem. That can come for the calculation of current density under the convection case. So let us now come to the conduction case. So here, as the name implies, you need some kind of an electrical conductor, okay, like copper, silver, whatever it is, gold. So any of this aluminum, whatever be the case, you give whatever name, you need some kind of a material, solid material like this. Only then we can talk about electrical conduction. If these objects are not there, then there is no question of conduction at all. So that's the first point you need to know. So we need it. So when these materials are present, okay, these things can be available in different shapes. For example, it can appear like a wire, or it can appear like a sheet. You can have a sheet of copper, or you can have a copper wire, or you can have a thick cable. So this is a difference that you have to note down now, that the wire is there traditionally, you know that because it is very thin, you say it is wire. When it is very thick, then we say a cable. And where is the difference comes? This is important. Where the difference comes is that for a case of the thick cable, you will be drawing the diagram like this, which means that you have the length of the cable and you have the surface area, or we say that CS. CS means cross-sectional area of the cable. So this cross-sectional area of the cable, we will not worry about in the case of wire, because for wire it is very thin and we only consider the area. I mean, we consider generally the length of the wire only. So because of this reason, what is the reason is, it can appear in the form of wire, or it can appear in the case of sheet, or it can also appear in the case of thick cable. What happens is, you will have to define a similar object. You see here, current density. So a similar concept has to be defined in order to distinguish for the sheet and the thick cable. So therefore, we will write down that corresponding to these things, for this, we can have like this. That means when you are going to have the case of the sheet here, then we will ask the question, what is the current that is passing per unit area? Like this, you can ask the question. And for the case of the cable like this, you can ask the question, how much amount of the current is flowing in meter cube? That means in the volume of the cable. You can't ask all the area. So it is very clear that the definition of the current is not very useful, but instead we need information about current divided by area or current divided by meter cube. So this is very important in the practical calculations. And therefore what happens is, whether it is this way or that way, whatever it is, you give a common name known as the current density. So that is why it is called density. Density means you are dividing either by area or meter cube, which means that you can have two ways of having the dimensions, namely the current is ampere, and then per area means meter to the minus 2, or you can have an option of ampere per meter cube. So this is how the current density will be classified like this. You can easily see that either you can have ampere per meter cube or ampere per meter square. So in majority of the situations, they will use ampere per meter square, but you cannot assume like that. So you have to be more careful when you are reading a particular problem. So what kind of problem is given? So depending on that, you'll have to choose either this way or that way. So these are the basic definitions before we start with this. Now, what is the importance with this, and what do you want to do with the electrical current density in the case of the conduction is like this. So let me again put the continuation with the top portion, namely that we are discussing the one corresponding to the electrical conduction. Okay. So in this case, once again, let us come back. If you are going to consider a copper wire like this, so what is happening inside? So I am trying to give a little bit of explanation. If you are going to consider a thick cable. So this is a thick cable of some aluminum or whatever it is, rod that you have. Then if you are going to have an electron like this, and it is moving in a particular direction, that is the direction in which the electric field is applied, then electron is going to move like that. Now you have to answer whether the electron is free to move from one end to other end. So if the electron is here, can it move continuously like this and it will reach to the end of the cable? This is the beginning of the cable, that is an end of the cable. The cable itself can be something like 100 meters. 100-meter cable is there. Once electron starts here, can it travel continuously like this and go to the end of the cable? That is the question. Is it yes or is it possible or not? Whether it is practically, it's not possible. Yeah, correct. So it is not possible because inside this conductor, you have the lattices. Lattices means you have the ions, positive ions are there. They are held in fixed position, and only the free electrons are there in the case of the metal. They are able to move. But how many free electrons are there? If you see, number of free electrons in conductor is of the order of 10 to the power of something like 28 per meter cube, approximately. It may be a little lower side also, but typically for a very good conductor, 10 to the power of 28 electrons will be there per meter cube, which means that when this particular electron starts moving, it cannot move freely because so many electrons are surrounded by it. And therefore, what happens is it will go and hit with one of them. So therefore, what happens is we cannot consider the same concept or a simple concept that we used in the case of vacuum. So in the case of vacuum, what happens is vacuum means nothing is there. So this is the place where you have to see the contrast. In the vacuum, most probably nothing will be there, and therefore it can freely travel. And in the case of the gas also, the gas is, when compared to the solid material, gas is the one which has very least density. Least density means the number of gas atoms are very few when compared to number of atoms in the case of the solid. The liquid property is quite different. That is why I already said that the study with the liquid is going in a different title known as the fluid dynamics. The mechanism, everything changes. But at least in the case of the vacuum and gas, you can see that the electron, once it starts traveling, it can come to the maximum possible distance and it can travel. So this is not possible in the case of the conduction, and therefore you will have to consider what is known as the distance between the 2 points over which the electron can travel freely. So if the electron starts here and then freely goes up to this and then hits an electron here, here is the point where it hits. After hitting, it slightly goes out. It changes its direction. Again, it will hit with another one, and then it will change its direction, and then it goes on like that. And what happens is you are going to calculate what is the time between the one place to the other place where the collision takes place. So you'll be having an average value tau everywhere. So that means in between, that means whenever a time tau has elapsed, this particular electron will collide with another electron. So that kind of a time is what we are going to give the name relaxation time. So whenever this kind of situation happens, then you have to always consider the relaxation time. You don't require a relaxation time in the case of vacuum or in the case of the dilute gas problems. So but for conductor, compulsorily this is required. So relaxation time means it is the time between which the electron will travel freely without collision, and once the time tau is reached, it will hit with another electron and then it will change. So what is changing is the direction of the speed changes. If you say that u1 is the velocity vector of the electron, then after changing this will be u2. Its magnitude of the speed can change, direction also already changed. As you can see that we can write down that in this case it is u3. So both direction also changes, speed also will change. So every time it happens like this, and therefore the speed changes. So therefore what happens is this u1 Q2, U3, so many of them are there. Each one of them is there, and then you try to, so many are there, and then you try to find the mean of that. Average value, mean of U1, U2, U3. And this quantity, U represented by a single U vector. And we will call this vector as the drift velocity. So instead of saying that it is the speed of the electron, because that's not a good word now, because it cannot travel continuously with the same speed, we can't use a simple word like velocity of the electron or speed of the electron. We cannot use it. Instead of that, now we will give the name drift velocity, which means it is the average velocity experienced by the electron during the relaxation period. That is the meaning. So this term is important. U is very important. And then corresponding to this particular U, you have a tau. These two quantities are the characterizing objects for the calculation. So therefore, once you know the definition for the tau and the U, we can proceed further to do a small calculation. So what you are going to do with these things is that, so let me put a line like this. Now you start with the simple equation, F is equal to Q times E. This is the Coulomb's law that you already know, and the E represents the electric field. Electric field means, in the case of the wire, suppose if you have a thick cable like this, that I have a cable like that, like this, we are going to put a plus and minus here. That is the meaning. A positive voltage is the left side and the negative voltage on the right side if you are going to keep. Then the potential difference between them would be V from here to here. That is our potential difference. And if the length of the wire itself is L, then V divided by L will give you electric field. That is the meaning. Where the vector quantity is the one corresponding to the vector of the length. So the length will have a vector. So that is the reason why this vector is attached to this. So now you can understand practically how you are experiencing or how you are applying the electric field. So practically we will apply the voltage between the 2 points of the wire. Then this will be equivalent to having an electric field E. And inside this cable you have the free charges, and let us denote the charges by Q, and later we will replace this by minus E. Therefore what happens is, this is what is the expression that we have. Now to do a simple calculation, what happens is, you now understand what is the meaning of the force here. Force is equivalent to change in momentum. So we can write down that this is equivalent to the change in momentum divided by time. So this is the general or a standard formula that you already know in mechanics. The change in momentum change in momentum per time is what is defined as the force, which will be equal to Q times E. Like this you can write. So therefore now the change in momentum is mass times the velocities that you know. Now you have to compare and see. This is the U1, this is the U2, this is the U3, etc. So what happens is, when U1 goes to the U2, now you see U1 and U2 are not identical, but when U1 goes to U2, then what happens is there is a U1 minus U2. So this U1 minus U2, you can represent it by some velocity V. So this is what is known as change in momentum. Otherwise, if there is no collision, then there is no change in momentum. Okay, change in momentum is coming because collision is taking place. So therefore, we will write down that this is exactly nothing but delta V we can write down and divided by delta T. So this is how the momentum change is coming into picture, and then we can write down like this. So delta V, where the mass of the electron is a constant, so we can write down the mass common factor, only velocity changes divided by delta T will be equal to we can write minus E for the Q, and then the electric field is E, and the velocity will take care of the vector quantity, because left side, right side, you must balance them. So this is the idea. So once this is clear, from here you can calculate what is delta V. So delta V equal to minus E into electric field into, you have a delta T divided by M. So this gives you the kind of average momentum transfer for every of the collision. Now this is for one of the electrons that you can take and then take an average over a time, or you can take several of the electrons at the same time and take the average. Okay, this is known as the space average or the time average. Time average means you take only one electron and follow its evolution with respect to time and take a measurement and then take an average. That is known as time average. If you want to take the ensemble average, then only at one particular time you consider all the 100 electrons and then take down its value and take the average. That is known as ensemble average. So this ensemble average you can take and then write down that the mean value is this delta V, which is equal to this. Once this is clear to you, then we can calculate the current density. So now from here we can now say that once this is clear, from here we can find the current density. Because finding current density is only one line job, this calculation is what you have to be careful. So what is the current density? This is a standard expression which is familiar to you. Current density is equal to, we'll say that the charge density, we'll say that this is the volume charge density multiplied by the velocity of the charge density. Now, just like that I have written here, but there is nothing new in this particular expression. If you can recall what we have explained in the case of convection, all these things will be clear. So you please remember this and then go to that particular place. So what is the first part? The first part is the volume charge density. Remember that, volume charge density. What is the second object? Second object is the velocity of the charges. Now where are they? Let us see that in the case of the convection. In the case of the convection, we have seen the vacuum, right? So here I have put one kind of a circular area, and then I said that there are so many charges are there. So the set of all charges, let me put so many dots here, the set of all charges, and that is known as the volume charge density. You know what is charge and charge density? Charge means only one charge. Density means divided by per meter cube. Okay, so if in a small unit time means 1 second. In 1 second time, these electrons will be occupying in a small cylindrical region like this. This is a part of the cylinder. So many electrons will be there. Okay, if you allow 1 more second, then a similar kind of a circular cross section you can draw and then join like this. So each bit here represents 1 second. So this many number of charges are there in 1 meter cube. Therefore, that represents the charge density. So whatever we have written here, we are able to get the meaning now. So that is what I have written here. This is the volume charge density. And multiply by what is there? Multiplied by the speed of the charges. And in the case of the vacuum, just now we have seen that all these charges are moving. When it is moving with certain speed here, then only this represents the current density. That's what we have written here. The current density is there. So for current density, you require two things. One is you need a volume charge density, and second thing is they should move. If they are not at all moving, then there is no charge density. So these are the two requirements, and exactly I have written that only. Volume charge density multiplied by the velocity of charges. This is what is the standard definition. For the case of electrical conduction, this is an additional problem. I will write down equation 1. So equation 1 is an extra problem because of collision. If collision is not there, then this is a direct formula for J, and the job is over. So now therefore, we will now substitute this expression 1 here. So volume charge density is generally denoted by rho here, and for convenience you can write down VOL. VOL means volume, generally not required. Why it is not required? It is a tradition that sigma means surface, rho means volume, lambda means linear on a line. This is a standard tradition. So by looking at the symbol rho, you have to tell that it is corresponding to the volume. Okay, but if you are getting a doubt whether rho can be corresponding to surface like that, if you get a doubt, I am now telling that you can write down a suffix VOL to represent that it is the volume charge density. Okay, that is a notation, and multiplied by, you have the velocity of the charges. Just now you calculated. This is the these are the velocity that we will be having, which is equal to, you can write down minus E, then you have a E vector divided by M, then multiplied by this delta T. So this delta T, yeah, this delta T, what is this delta T is? It is during this time these electrons have gained their velocity. What is that time? This time means what is the name of the time? We have already given the name of the time, that it is relaxation time. So therefore, I will now say that delta T is now T. I mean tau. Tau is the symbol. Just now I explained what is meant by tau here. I'll go little to this side. Okay. So here it is there. So from here to here you are allowing some time, that is delta T. So this small time you are waiting, over which no collisions are taking place, and therefore it gains a velocity, and therefore it becomes tau. So therefore what happens is, these kind of momentum changes are there only after a time tau. So that is the meaning. The physical meaning of, yeah.
Sir, is the relaxation time same in all cases?
Yeah, please tell, it is not clear. Yeah, what is that?
Sir, is the relaxation time same in all cases, in all velocities?
It is average. No. You see, if you are, this is too many numbers there, 10 to the power 28 are there. You cannot say that all of them are equal. That is not at all possible. This particular tau, what we are telling is mean. So this word, that is why this mean is very important. Mean relaxation time. These quantities are already averaged, and then we are considering. We cannot do any calculation with one electron, second electron, third electron. Like that, you will be having 10 to the power 28 of them. Okay, that number of numbers you can't even write. First of all, 10 power 28 is 1, 2, 3, 4. If you write, you can't even finish writing 10 power 28. It is such a big number. Therefore, whatever we are here using for the calculation, it's an average of all of them. Then it becomes a single number. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. No, yeah, if any doubt is there, you can ask. So that is why I already told, either you have to take a statistical ensemble average, or you have to take a time average. You have to make an averaged value. Individual value, no meaning, and you can't do also. As you do in kinetic theory of gas. Kinetic theory of gas, same thing, right? Same thing you study. When the molecules hit the wall and return back, then first molecule will have a pressure P1. Second molecule will come and hit the wall, and when it returns back, it will have a second pressure P2. Like that, P1, P2, P3 will be having of the order of 10 power 23. 10 power 23 pressure you can't deal. We can't do any calculation. So we say that the average pressure is given by the pressure of the gas. It is the same idea that we will be using. When too many number is there, we can only talk about the average value. Only then it is meaningful, and only then it is we can also do any calculation. Otherwise, we can't even do any calculation. Okay, that is the reason. So the word mean is very important. Okay, so once this is clear, then our conclusion therefore is that the J will be given by this quantity. Let us write down that this is the volume charge density. Let us expand and write down explicitly what is the meaning of volume charge density. It is the number of charges. Let me write down what is the meaning for the volume charge density. For that I am giving the expression. It is a number of charges. So n into minus e. N into minus e. That many number of charges are there. Divided by. Why do you want to divide this? Because it is density. Density means divided by volume. So volume of the cable, or volume of the some kind of a thick conductor, voluminous conductor. So this expression is what is known as the row volume. So there is no trouble here. It is the number of charges per unit volume. That's all. Then into, there is no change here. You write down minus E tau divided by m being the mass of the electron. So in this case, m represents the mass of the electron. And when this is clear, now we can go to some kind of a notation. Notation means capital N by capital V. We will call by the symbol N. Let me write down here. Capital N by capital V is what is known as the number of electrons, and that is what is known as the number density. Why people use this particular small letter is that this is known as the number density. So practically, when you are going to take a data table, for example, handbook of that is physics or chemistry, whatever it is, if you are going to refer to the handbook, they will not give that in 1 meter cube or 2 meter cube of the wire, this many electrons will be there. That kind of number will not be there. You will be having only number density. So that is why number density is more meaningful, and which is nothing but total number of charges that are present divided by the total volume. Total volume means whether you take 10 meter of the cable or 100 meter of the cable, what happens is volume changes. But when you write small n is independent of whatever size of the cable that you are going to choose. That is why small n gains some kind of importance. Okay, so this is over. Then you have a minus E into minus E. That gives you E square. Then you have, let us write scalars first. So tau is the time. So this is tau that we write only for time here. Relaxation time is the technical name, but ultimately it is the time that you are going to measure in seconds, then divided by the mass. Then all these things are scalar quantities, and finally you have a vector quantity to match the vector of the left hand side. So now you see that the current density in the case of conductor. So this is the case of the conductor. Remember, the convection is something little definition, and then we stopped it. We did not derive. I already told what is the reason. The topic itself is quite complicated, and it takes its own specialization. And that's why we have now continuation we are doing with the case of the conductor, because in electricity magnetism most of the time we will be using conductors. That is the reason. So once this particular expression is there, now we can write down J is equal to all these things being scalars. We write down some sigma here and then write a E here. So which means that this looks simple, where sigma is a number which is equal to, so instead of saying Ne square tau by m, it is easy to say sigma. So now we will say that this is equal to Ne square tau by m. And if you do the dimensional analysis, that is very simple. E means Coulomb square. So this is actually Coulomb square. Then you multiply it by time. Then this is by kilogram. All these things, if you do, this will represent the electrical conductivity. Therefore, we will call the sigma as the electrical conductivity. Of metals. Let us generally, we are not talking anything other than metals. We want a conductor, which means that we are automatically rejecting any dielectric insulating materials. So ultimately, if you reject them, what's left out is only metals. Okay. So therefore, even though we have said that some conductors we are using, it is better to say that most probably conductor means you are considering metals. That's the meaning. The other materials are rejected in this definition in our calculation like this. These kind of things are anyway not at all applicable for insulators. Okay, so those things are clear for you. So our conclusion is that this is the conclusion. Our conclusion is this equation is known as the Ohm's law for conductors. This is the same equation which is equivalent to, which is a familiar equation which you already know, V equal to IR. Because this equation V equal to IR is quite common, and it is frequently used when you are having circuits. If you know the resistance of something and the current passing in circuit, then it is fine. This equation is the Ohm's law that you are using. But what happens is you don't have vector quantities in V equal to IR, because practically when you are going to use conductors, where you don't have or directly. You see here, this Ohm's law and this Ohm's law, what is the difference? You see that in this expression for the Ohm's law, you have the resistor coming into picture. Okay. But the contrary, you see that in the case of the conductors, we have a conductivity. So they are very similar, that when R is coming into picture in circuits, this is practically useful. And when you are dealing with the electrical conductor, this is the practically useful when we deal with conductor. The name of the law is important, that it is the same Ohm's law for the case of conductor. So this is our important conclusion from our today's classwork. So in your final exam, it's quite simple. The standard 5 marks question will be like this. Derive this equation. I mean, which equation means? Let us say equation 2. Okay. So this is also 2 only. There is no big difference between this and this. So I will only write down 2a. Because I have only written that this quantity is sigma. So it is not a new equation. So you have to derive this particular equation. That is option 1. Derive equation 2. So this will give you 5 marks question. This is first part. I mean, one possibility. Another possibility is that you go to the case of the convection situation and then solve some simple problem. There is no big derivations here. So in the case of this kind of a convection, there won't be any big derivation, not there for you. But instead, you may be asked to calculate what is the charge density in terms of some numerical value. So numerical calculation will be there in case of the convection current. So that will give you 5 marks. So these are the 2 things where the 5 marks questions are possible. And what we will do is in the next class. Now I also need to introduce the capacitor. So once we introduce the capacitor and finish the Gauss law, then immediately we can have some problems related to dielectrics. Because dielectrics will come into picture when you are going to use capacitors. You are going to give the dielectric in between the plates of the capacitor, right? That is why the capacitor and dielectrics are connected. So when it is connected like that, then automatically all these quantities will come into picture. So we will have some kind of connectivity between all the quantities. What are the quantities? The voltage is there, resistance is there, current is there, J is there, electric field is there, sigma of the electrical conductor is there. These things are there. And then if you are going to introduce the capacitance, then one C will come into picture. That's all. And then the charge on the capacitor. So if these 2 things are also finished, then almost all variables in electricity and magnetism we are going to have together. Okay, so therefore you can have a problem combining all these things. So that portion we will see in the next class. So is this okay? So up to this. Hello?
Yes,
Yeah?
sir.
Yes,
Sir,
yeah,
sir.
Yes, sir.
So shall we stop here?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Okay then, thank
Okay,
you. You are noting down now. How will you, if you are missing, you are noting down, or how will you take care of all these things?
We have taken notes, sir.
We have noted down,
You are
sir.
taking notes. Okay. So, yeah, fine. Okay then. Then we will meet in the next class. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, and happy New Year.
Thank you, sir.
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 Thank you, sir.